All right, all right. What's happening, everybody? It is Rocked On Detroit Lions Scouting Report, day one of the Combine. I hope everyone can hear me. It has been about an hour-long journey trying to get everything set up here. All right, so just a quick microphone and video check. Make sure everyone can hear me. All I hear is echo inside this hotel room. Just let me know, and then we'll get rolling. Would appreciate it. All good. All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Okay. How exciting was today? I got to tell you, all the years watching the Combine, and you watch it from home, and it doesn't do the justice, right? Watching the live production, Rich Eisen doing his thing, everybody around the field, Danny Rogers being a big part of this today. It was fun. Not a whole lot of excitement though. I didn't realize I was pulling the Matt Patricia. Let's get rid of that. So not a lot of excitement inside. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it, buddy. Not a lot of excitement inside the Combine. And what I mean by that, it's almost like you're kind of sitting in a museum because you really can't be loud. And they said something that really resonated. It was the biggest job interview for these guys. I mean, it is. I mean, it really is. I mean, these guys are all in one giant interview together. So you can't get loud and clap. Anybody that's being loud would be removed. And you can clap a little bit, after some of the things, but definitely not during the 40. They want everything, nice and quiet. So it was different taking it in, being there inside, for the first time. And I got to say, first time at Indy, small stadium, very small, goes straight up. So it makes me appreciate Ford Field that much more. So anyway, interesting to take it all in. And I got to say, watching the guys work, you can see more. I noticed that the production, at home, I was going kind of back and forth between the phone and then, watching it, on the big screen there, they were kind of doing waist up. and by the way, Eric Rintamaki was there. We met there and sat together. Cool to watch it with him. Lions fans, man, we're just one cool ass group because, you meet people online and next thing you know, you're going to events and meeting up and having a great time together. And that's what it's all about. So great community. But anyway, I noticed that they were doing kind of waist up and I mentioned to Eric, I said, I wonder if that's because, last season, I don't remember who it was last season or the season before, his doodad fell out when he was running the 40 and he dove on it to cover it up. So I'm wondering if that's why they changed, because before you used to be able to see the legs and the hips and everything. And it didn't look like, you could see that today. So at least from inside the stadium, they were showing the waist up on the screen. But of course, we got to see everything. And it was good. It was a good time. I see some of the comments already here. I want to go through and check in with everybody. Better the Hunt says he's looking forward to it. Tracy, I'm ready for this. Donovan Amos, is Darius Robinson our guy? We need speed on the defensive line. We have enough big bodies. We need guys to chase the quarterback, not be falling all over the place trying to get to the quarterback. Good statements. I'll ask you guys right away. What did you think? Go ahead, slide it into the live chat. Who was your number one out of today? Defensive end, defensive tackle, linebacker, which one? Which one was your number one favorite? If you could only pick one, who was it? Vincent Somi says 495 was his 40. I still hope we take him at 29, talking about Darius Robinson. And moving on down, got Steve K says 57 days till the draft. From what has happened in the offseason so far, I would not be surprised if Brad Holmes trades down for 2 or 3 O-line, maybe a TJ Tampa. Man, you guys, we're all over the place. Lion Syndicate, hey, Derek says trade up for Turner. Trade up or turn up for Turner? Turner had a good day today. Lone Wolf, here we go. Audio perfectly clear. All right, we're in. Best impression of MP. That's funny. I didn't even realize I was doing that. I was writing some things down. Demigod313 says if the Lions are going to trade down, I'd rather them trade that 29th pick along with one of the third-round picks to KC for Snead. That's a good take. And that's something that's on the list tonight. Oh, can't be without my pen. That's something that's on the list tonight. We'll talk about Snead. And I've got a couple of comments on that. So Mike Miller, hey, you're back, buddy. Appreciate you coming back. He said, needed some time to heal. I'm back. Let's go Lions 2024. And that's what it's all about. How are the Lions going to get better in 2024? How is Brad Holmes going to make this team better in 2024? And I'm going to throw out a shocker right away. And that's because, and I don't know if they showed this on TV, but I caught something today. You guys know that I love the psychology of everything. And when somebody is really into, paying attention to somebody, usually means something, right? Well, they cut to Dan Campbell today. And I forget this guy's name that he was looking at. More or less because I can't pronounce it. Where the crap. Oh, where did it go? It's Obigby or something like that. Justin Ebogwe? I don't know. EBOIGBE. So one of the worst guys at the combine today. And Dan Campbell was all about this dude, like intently paying attention, checking the notes, looking at everything, maybe doing his due diligence. Possibly I'm reading into it a little bit too much. But if these are the guys that they're looking at, then I'm going to be worried. But let's just hope not, because there was some good things that came out of today. So let me get my notes, and let's start with the first guy here, because this guy, he's got some flaws, but damn, is he fast. Let's talk about him. So Braden Fisk. This guy, I haven't seen somebody move like this, and dare I say someone lacking a lot of melanin in their skin. This dude moves, and he moves like I haven't seen before for somebody his size. And the flaws are what's going to get me, right? The flaws are what's holding me back on this guy. Runs a 4.78 official, I believe is what the last official that I saw. 1.68 split, 33.5-inch vert. 9'9" broad, 4.37 shuttle, no bench, no 3-cone, 6'4", 292 pounds. But this is where he gets me: the 31-inch arms, the 9 3/8 hands. I look, I love everything about this guy. He had a great combine. He really did. I mean, he tore it up. Here's some of my quick notes on the guy. Short arms was the first thing. Fast. First thing I wrote down was flying. I mean, the guy literally looked like he was just flying, down the field. But if you remember what I said the other night, the 40 is meaningless. Okay. So I'm like, all right, this guy's got to follow that up in, the bag drills and let's see what he does there. So he does the bag drills. Tight in his transitions. And that's a good thing. Like he was weaving in and out of those. Like if they were cones, man, he was weaving in and out of them and tight to the bag. And when he would hit the bag, he hit the bag with some very violent hands and a lot of power. Moves very well, extremely fluid. Great jump off. Every time that, he would jump off, whether it was, from his chest, jumping up to do the, I think they call it the high knees. He was just quick with everything. Quick feet, quick everything. The guy is definitely going to be a baller. I just don't know for what team, and I just don't know what position. The short arms bother me, and I'm going to look at Aaron Donald real quick here because this is a guy that, Aaron Donald doesn't have the longest arms, if I remember correctly. And I apologize. I don't have a ton of time to do crap loads of research. This is just going to be kind of like what I saw today. And we'll have to do some more research later. But yeah, so he has longer arms, 32 and 5/8. I mean, that's a big difference. over 1.5 inches and then another 1/2 inch in hand. So you've got 2 inches of arm length in hand combined with Aaron Donald. So when you look at a guy that's extremely fast, which speed is great, I mean, everything else that he did was phenomenal today. But how is he going to disengage off of some of these double teams? How is he going to disengage and then, make contact with the running back or the quarterback coming through the backfield? That's what I worry about. And I'm not saying that the Lions are even in position to take this guy, but dare I say Brad Holmes tries to move all the way up to 15, or 12 to try to grab somebody like this. The potential is there, depending on what happens with quarterbacks. So for that reason, if this was, what's that show called? Shark Tank? Because of your arms, Braden Fisk, I'm out. Okay? Sorry. Other than that, phenomenal dude. Mike Miller says Combine is so overrated. Go to the film. We've done some film. We're going to do a lot more film here. I didn't see Peyton Wilson today. The problem with some of this is in the Combine, you can't hear anything. So they're not really calling guys' names out. I mean, they are, but you can't hear it. You literally have to be able to pay attention to who's running and who's not, and be able to see their number. And it was very difficult. So there's some flaws with going to the Combine. Let's just put it that way. If I could go sit where the coaches were, different story. And we moved around a little bit to try to get better views. Michael Jordan says Fisk would be someone that we could probably get early second at edge. Yeah, I don't think so. I think he's going to be gone in the first somewhere. I think someone is going to love what he did today, regardless of his arm length. The guy that I'm really high on, so I'm going to go the other direction now. The guy that I'm really, really high on is the guy that I did a video on. And I'm going to have to go back to watch my own video about Ruke Orhorhoro. I think that he did exactly what I was hoping he would do, which was have a great combine. I was a little bit worried about his speed. I was worried about his fluidity, and there's everything that Braden Fisk did, Ruke did just as well. So it was surprising to see that, because if you look at Ruke's body, I call him Ruke. I'm just rolling with Ruke. Very tall in the legs. So tall, hips, midsection, tall legs. His upper body is short compared to his lower body. And sometimes that creates bad pad level. And so now I'm going to have to go back and watch some more tape and see, how bad was his pad level. And can he make, some adjustments and tweaking through technique, which I'm sure he can. I mean, at the pro level, you're going to learn a ton. And good point here. D13 says he had a great 10-yard split talking about Fisk. But if you look at Ruke, compared to Fisk, Ruke was 1/100th faster in the 10-yard split. So both guys, I mean, big dudes. Ruke, 6'4", 294 pounds. So, I mean, dead even with Fisk. 9 3/8 inch hands. Dead even with Fisk. 40, 4.89. Just 11 tenths slower than Fisk. But here's the difference: 34-inch arms. That's a big difference. And you guys know me. We did all the math. I rated the top 20 edge rushers and D tackles currently in the NFL, and it's that 33-inch arm or better. The one guy that I'm going to go to next, but here's a couple quick notes, so I guess on Ruke is I'm a little bit worried that none of these guys are doing 3-cone. None of these guys are doing, the bench press. I don't know why. Maybe those numbers just aren't up yet. I didn't see them do it, but I don't know why they're not. And it almost, if they didn't do it, it'd probably be like, right, well, if he's not going to do it, then I'm not going to do it, because it could potentially hurt my draft stock, right? I think that Ruke would be fine to take at 29, quite honestly. I think he's going to fly up the boards a little bit now based on what he did. I think that he's going to do fine in his interviews, but now you're talking FBI. What is his football intelligence? He's only been playing since he was a junior in high school, but he went to Clemson. I mean, incredible school. Just to be able to attend Clemson, just from an academic perspective, incredible school to go to. And no, it's not like athletes, have to, take on the same rigors that most academic, people that are going there just for the academics do. It's a little bit different. I mean, they still have to take the classes, but you guys know what I'm saying. It's different. They get treated a little bit differently, just a little bit, you think. But very impressive. That was the first thing that I wrote about Ruke. Very impressive. He was faster than expected. I thought sub 5 for him. And again, I'll have to go back and refer to my video, but sub 5 for him, I thought was going to be difficult. And he did it just fine. But he really explodes into his contact. And again, doing the bag drills, where they're slapping the bags and making the turn, we're looking at bend, great bend. Fisk, great bend. But really tight into his transitions too. Very fluid. I thought that he moved very well. And again, speed is part of it, but the rest of it coming, together is going to make up the rest of the story for these guys. So now I can take this data and I can go look at the tape now and say, all right, that showed up in the combine. It didn't show up, on tape. Why? It's not like these guys can just run wide open, but now I know that these guys have the speed to chase down, quarterbacks, to chase down, running backs laterally if they're taking the right angles. And those are the things that I'm going to have to look at next. And it's just my take, independent scout type stuff, just stuff that I'm trying to, provide, content wise, and I'm trying to get better at. Michael Jordan says, I wouldn't mind taking Ruke or Fisk with our first pick if they're still there. I don't expect Fisk to be there. But then again, I'm almost thinking that, like, I'm 50-50 on it. I'm going to have to go back and look at the tape again because Fisk looked a lot more slow off the jump in pads than he did today. Obviously, no pads, pajamas, but he didn't look as powerful in pads than he did today. So those are the comparisons that I'm going to try to make. And by no means, am I the greatest judger of talent, but these are the things that I did last year to try to figure out who would fit the Lions and who wouldn't. Next guy that I think a lot of people are going to be high on. And he really had a great day today. And when you look at his legs, man, holy cow. This guy literally has tree trunks for legs. Brian Murphy. Texas, played with Trevonde Sweat. I can't imagine. Did Texas have the best defense last year? Because I don't know. I can't imagine that they wouldn't have been in the top 10. When you have two guys like this, Byron Murphy and Trevonde Sweat, playing together, I don't know how anyone would have been able to run the ball on them, especially after what Sweat did today. And quite honestly, I was a little bit blown away. But Byron Murphy, you want to talk about violence and hustle and everything is moving a million miles a minute. That's this guy. Extreme power. Definitely gets off the ball quickly. And you could see it. And in transition, when I talk transition, there's a few drills where, they lay on their chest and they jump up and then, they move the ball or they guide them left or right. That's what I'm looking at is where are these guys, in transition from stopping to turning, or stopping and changing direction. And all three of these, guys that we're talking about first did very well in all of their transitions. And it's not just the transitions that I look at, but it's, how do their hips move, in and out of the breaks, and, how fluid are their how fluid are their movements back and forth, in and out of their breaks. All right. So Byron Murphy here. Let me get into him for just a second. I'm going to pull up some of my other notes here. So Byron Murphy had a 4.87 40-yard dash. So, right in line with like what Ruke had. 169 split. So again, right in line with Fisk and Ruke. 33-inch vertical. Just about everybody that we're talking about right now was between 32, 33, 35, or 33 and a half inch vertical. Broad jump, 9 foot, 3 inches. Fisk had a 9.9. Ruke had a 9.8. So all pretty close. Now, the broad jump is a good evaluator for your initial burst, right? Your initial get off on the line. And they say that the longer the broad, the more powerful you are. And that's why it's always a good talent evaluator for running backs, wide receivers. It's that, lateral agility. It's that smaller space agility and being able to, jump cut a little bit quicker and change direction quicker. A lot of that is coming from the broad jump and those muscles, I guess, that, they've identified that's being utilized in the broad jump helps them do that. Just something that I picked up on that I read. And I guess, makes sense. Makes perfect sense. But the thing about Byron Murphy that little alarming would have been his height. He's only 6'1.5". I mean, so he's, my height. I don't feel like I'm a very tall individual. 297 pounds. So, good weight. And he's like heavy. He looks heavy. So clearly he's more muscle than anything. And like I said, tree trunks for legs. I mean, that was the first thing that everybody noticed was how big his legs were. 10.25 inch hands. So very big hands means he's going to be able to get his paws on just about anybody. 32 3/8 inch arms. So, he's right on that borderline, inch, for the arms, and being long enough to be able to engage, disengage, reach and grab a quarterback or running back while they're engaged. But then also utilizing your arms to get free of a guard or a tackle. And the fact that he has 10.25 inch hands, which is about a full inch or more than the last two guys, you combine that together with his arm length, and I think he'll be just fine. Win Southwell says, do we draft a linebacker? If so, who? I don't know yet. We'll get to linebackers here in just a moment. Mike Miller, 18 combine players. I'm not sure where you're going with that, buddy. Oh, I see what you're talking about. You're talking about the U of M Michigan defense. Gotcha. Michael Jordan says, Murphy being a little bit shorter, watch how good his bull rush is. He definitely has a good bull rush. I'll give him that. And he has a lot of power. I mean, so he had the same type of athletic, freakish nature today that Ruke did and Fisk did, in and out of their breaks. Everything that I've said about, the first two guys, you could say about Byron Murphy. The only difference being Byron seemed a little bit more violent. The way that he uses his hands and the power that he has in his hands definitely was on display. And I get it. They're just bags. They're heavy bags. But still, he's utilizing that power and showing that power today by what he was able to do on the field. And there's a reason why he's been ranked up there for a while now. So I expect him gone by 29, without a doubt. Let's see. A couple of notes on Ruke. His strengths are his compact frame, like we've been talking about. Outstanding lean muscle. This is coming from NFL.com. Very twitchy. Controlled bursts to light up the gaps and disrupt play development. Has elite combination of strength, balance, and flexible power in his lower half. Quick strike hands help to maneuver around blocks and chase plays. Pass rush driven by relentless energy. I mean, all of this stuff was on display today. The one knock on him is they're thinking that his frame might be close to maxed out, meaning like there's no more size available for this guy. And the lack of arm length, which, okay, if you compare him to the other guys, he's got decent size arms, might be harder to separate. And they think that he could be worn down by NFL double teams and size. So I don't know. I mean, it's slim pickings in the defensive tackle or, draft this year, it's very slim. There's not a ton of options. And that, you're just going to have to take a flyer on some of these guys. If you really need somebody, you're going to have to take somebody. Vincent Sohm says, realistically, who do we see sitting at our picks, though? I feel Ruke might be, but that's hard to say. Well, I haven't even gotten to the defensive ends. So remember, there's two ways we could go here. Well, there's many ways, but if Brad Holmes, let's assume for this podcast, let's just assume Brad Holmes is going to fix the pass rush and the defensive front. Let's just assume that. So he's got two options. I guess you could say three, but defensive tackle that has the ability to rush the quarterback. Defensive end that clearly has the ability to rush the quarterback. But we already have Aiden Hutchinson that can rush the quarterback. So would you like more of a defensive end that's more of a run stuffer? See, I don't know that I would go there. If I want a run stuffer, I want a defensive tackle, a 3-tech. Definitely not a nose, but a 3-tech. So I'm going to come back to that question in a moment, and we'll see where this goes. So, hey, Josh, how's it going? He says, just here trying to catch up. We'll catch up, put it on double speed, and join us back here in just a moment. So out of these first three guys, good question is, are they going to be available at 29? If somebody is willing to take the risk on Fisk and his short arms, the answer is he won't be. I definitely don't think Murphy's going to be there. And if he is, I would be really surprised. That would mean that he did not do well in interviews, and maybe his football intelligence wasn't what they're looking for. Now, maybe not every team judges that way. Maybe not every team is interested in, everything, about the player being football intelligent related. Maybe that, some teams are more worried about skill, and we could teach you the rest of what you need to know. See, I think Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, they're looking for impact players, right? They're looking for culture guys, good fit guys, but they're also looking for guys that do what? Immediate impact day one. So in these first 2 or 3 rounds, and they've been lucky in later rounds, it seems to me that they're looking for guys that they can plug in or pluck out of the draft and put them right into the game. Now, they're going to say that that's not going to happen. They're going to say that they have to earn it. And I'm sure they all have. They're still going to have to go through the rest of the offseason and training camp and everything else. But I think that the way Brad, drafts guys, especially early, is he wants to know that these guys can have an impact on this team year one, whatever that impact is. Jack Campbell seemed to get off to a very slow start. And then it just clicked. The guy loves football. He played football at a high level. But I don't think that happens with a guy that, is just a physical specimen. I think that happened because the guy was an intelligent specimen and knew football intelligence. I think that's the difference. I really do. All right, let me get on to the next one here. Let's talk about Trevonde Sweat. Now, I know that he's obviously I'm kind of going in somewhat of an order here of the guys that I like the best today. Trevonde Sweat. Let me pull up the rest of his numbers because I don't have all of his numbers written down. Now, I know that he was last today in defensive tackles with a 5.27 40, but you got to remember, I think the theme has been, and I think it's been proven, and I mentioned it, that the 40 is not everything. The speed is not everything. If Trevonde Sweat knows football and he's got great football intelligence, that's going to matter more so than the speed, because if you anticipate well, if you read plays well, and you understand what the offense is doing, you're going to be in position to make a play before a play happens, which means if you have sped up the play a quarter of a second or half a second because you are in the right position, Well, now your 40 is meaningless because you're already in position. So that's where your splits and everything else, are more important. How quickly can you go from point A to point B, laterally, or in a short area quickness, move to get to where you need to be to stop the ball carrier. So Trevante Sweat, I don't think is going to be a fit on this team. I hate to say it. As much as I really wanted this guy on the team, and I could be wrong. We'll see what happens, as things progress and we learn about these meetings. The reason why I don't think that he's going to be a fit is because he's so damn big. You're talking, 366 pounds that moved like, probably a 330, 320. The guy moves well. And I tell you what, if a team brought him in and forced him to drop 26 pounds, this dude is going to be a big time force to be reckoned with. And I'm saying that, and I love it. I love the dude. Like, I've been pegging him to the Lions for a couple of months now. 6'4.5", 366 pounds. Definitely has the arms, 33 1/4. Big hands, 10 1/8. 5'2", 740, a 1/8 split, which is not terrible. 26-inch vertical jump, 8'2" broad. I mean, he did not score, off the Richter scale, so to speak. But he scored well enough to where he's going to have a big time effect on the game. The reason that I feel like he's not going to be a fit is because I feel like he's going to be utilized in a 3-4 as a nose. I don't think that he's going to, be a good fit as, a 3 tech. So that's where I think the issue lies. Now, I do like him. I absolutely do. I just don't see him being that guy that if I said that, we're looking for a defensive tackle that can also rush the passer, it's not him. This guy is a run stuffer at the next level. That's what he's going to be utilized for. He's going to be taking on double teams. He's probably not going to have a ton of stats because he's going to be a producing kind of, tackle in this league where he's producing by eating up the double teams, allowing other guys to get the stats. Working in that hive, right? Everyone's got a job to do. You come in to get paid your millions of dollars just to do your job. You don't worry about the personal stats. You worry about the team. I think Trevante Sweat is an amazing athlete, and for what he's been able to do so far in his career and the way he moved today, I couldn't believe it. My note on him was, dude can move big time for his weight. He even had good transition with his hips, and he was even good in the high knee bags. He slipped a bit, but he was able to catch up. And I was surprised. I think a lot of people were surprised, and he was a great character guy. There was some sort of joke, or he was joking with people, I guess, in the production or during measurements or something. He was saying something like, have you ever seen a 366 pound guy run, like I don't know what he said, but he was joking with everybody. But anyway, I just don't see him being a fit because I think he's going to be a nose in a 3-4. I don't see him on a 4-3. And I definitely don't see him being a pass rushing defensive tackle. So for that reason, Trevante, I'm sorry, I'm out. Lone Wolf says Hutchinson in Houston at end and add a big guy with McNeil. So the second part to my story here is we already have a big guy by the name of Broderick Martin. 3rd round selection, number 96 overall last year, who's supposed to be, doing the Lee McNeil offseason and getting into better shape and getting a little bit quicker. Let's compare Broderick Martin to a Trevante Sweat. Now, they're nowhere near the same or identical in any, fashion, but Broderick Martin, 6'5", 337 pounds. And he was not at the combine, I don't believe. I don't think that he was invited. So we don't have much for any other stats on him. But, he's 337. And when you look at him, he's a big boy. You look at Trevonde Sweat, he's got 30 pounds on him. Now, Trevonde had a lot of, loose skin jumping around today. So he's not as tight as what Broderick Martin is. I mean, Broderick Martin was actually in pretty decent shape for how big he is. And I can only imagine, if he really dials it up during the offseason, what he's going to be able to bring to the table, this spring. And I'm not saying that he's going to come in and, change the world, this season. But I do believe that he is our big body. I do believe that he's going to be that, Bugs replacement, the Benito Jones replacement, the Bohanna replacement. I just hope that the production is there this year. But that doesn't mean that we still don't need somebody, because we're still really light in the defensive tackle room. Mike Miller says, it feels so good that the draft isn't the Lions Super Bowl finally. Great point, man. Used to be my most exciting time of the year as a Lions fan. Change the culture. Thank you, DC and Holmes. Great Lakes State guy, Michigan, welcome in, says Robert Porsche, maybe. Who are we talking about? Thoughts on Christian Boyd? I don't even have that name written down. Let me write that name. Let me write it down. And what else is in here? Great Lakes State guy, Michigan, says Lions are fine teaching, or they wouldn't have drafted Broderick Martin. Crossing fingers on him, or what a disaster that pick will be. It is. That's the defining pick of Brad Holmes' career right there. You just traded multiple fifth-round picks to move up to grab somebody that played, 15 snaps last season? Not good. But development, and I believe that the Lions are probably one of the best so far at developing. Quick check on the stream and everything. Stream is doing okay. I hope we're not all glitched out like we were in California. Latu, man, what a specimen. But you guys have heard me talk about Latu and the fact that I would run away from that neck injury. And I know that there's, been a lot of teams that have come out and said, we're not worried about it, or at least that's what his agent is saying. But I would run away from it. I mean, they said that Levi Onwuzurike was fine, right? Now you're going up a couple of notches in leagues, right? So different story here, different level of competition. Your body is going to be beat to hell. So I want to stay away from injuries, Otherwise, I think Latu, without the injury, great pickup. Phenomenal. Big guy, tall guy. Did very well today. Just not somebody I would put on my list because of the injury. And I hope that, that doesn't hurt his opportunity in the NFL. I'm sure he'll get an opportunity. And I hope that it doesn't come back to haunt him. I really do. I hope that he has a very long, fruitful career. I just wouldn't take the risk. The Lions have had too many risky players that have come back to bite Brad Holmes in the butt. So I don't want to do it again. All right, so let me see who we've got next here. Let me check off a couple of guys. We've got Murphy. We talked about Sweat and Fisk and Rookie. All right, let's move on to one that surprised me today. So Mekhi Wingo. Mekhi Wingo is another one that, man, you didn't know what you were going to get. Comes from a great school, great background. 4.85 40, 1.64 split. So he had one of the fastest splits today. You want to talk about a guy that, he humps it, man. He was really digging in there today. 31.5-inch vert, 9.1 broad. So, not the best broad jump, but, it's still over 9 feet. That's pretty tough to do. But we're talking about a guy that's 6 foot, 284 pounds. So he's about 10, 12 pounds light to be a defensive tackle. Is this somebody that, based on his size, you would rather see on the outside versus the inside? 32-inch arms, 9.25-inch hands. So again, he ran well today, But again, speed is only part of the equation. It's not all of the equation. He could have very good football intelligence. He may be better suited to try to drop 30 pounds and become a linebacker, quite honestly, because I just don't see, a 6-foot guy with 32-inch arms. I just don't know what he's going to do, and he's going to prove me wrong. I hope he does. But again, if we're looking for somebody to really bend the edge, get to the quarterback, be able to take on double teams, fight through the double teams, win the one-on-ones, have the extension to get around the corner, that's not this guy. Bull rush all you want. That's only going to get you so far in this league. You have to develop other skills. And I just don't see where 6 foot, 32-inch arms and 284 pounds is going to do it. So, look, phenomenal day for this guy. He ran well, did everything well, but just not meeting the size requirements, in my opinion. He's a big-time hustle guy, big heart. He does have heavy hands. He uses his hands well. Very, above, according to NFL.com at least, he's above average in reaction time and reactive athleticism. Very good with short area quickness. So all of those things are great, but is it going to work on the defensive line? I don't have the answer. In from what I've seen from other 6-footers in the league, even 6'1" as a defensive tackle, it just doesn't work out unless they have freakishly long arms. So, all right. Vincent Solm says Christian Boyd over Wingo or Ruke over Wingo, in your opinion. Now, Ruke is, in my opinion, if I were to tell you my top 4 out of this draft right now, hey, Trace, welcome in, buddy. Appreciate you joining tonight. Hey, Mike, the Marine guy's in. Defensive tackle Chris Jenkins did well. He did. We'll talk about him next, or in the next 2, at least, somewhere in there. If I were to give you my top 4 out of just the DTs, not DNs, just the DTs that were labeled DTs today, I think that, let me give you my top 5. I think that Trevonde Sweat would be at number 5. And I feel that because I think that on whatever team he joins as a nose tackle, I think that he's going to be pretty dominant at stopping the run. And he might surprise us and do a little bit more. My number 1 overall might surprise you. My number 1 overall, and what this means is who's going to have the best rookie season if they play the entire season. Now, we know that people get hurt, they don't play, or they get knocked down the rotation or the roster. Here's what I'm saying. If these guys don't get hurt and they play, my number 1 overall, who's going to have the best season just based on what I saw today, is Ruke Orhorhoro. Hands down. The guy has the size, the speed. He has the power, but he is raw. Kind of reminds me, and I know different position, but Kayvon Thibodeau, quite raw when he came into the league, had a much better second season. I think that Ruke will be able to really fly up the board and surprise a lot of people once he gets into an NFL program. And when you look at his background and, his upbringing and everything else that surrounds him, just a solid guy. And I think because of that, he's going to have a pretty good career. But to round out my top 5, even though Braden Fisk lacks a little bit of arm length, I think that Braden Fisk is going to be the number 2 overall out of this draft. And what I mean by that is just defensive tackles. He's going to be the second best defensive tackle out of this draft after their first season. I think that even though Byron Murphy is lacking some arm length, I think that Byron Murphy is probably going to fit in nicely at number 3. And I was going to do this when we were done, but we'll just do it right now. I think that you just mentioned him, Chris Jenkins. I think that Chris Jenkins, based on what he proved today, fits in nicely at number 4. And I know that I put Trevonde Sweat at number 5, but he's kind of the bonus one. So Carter, Dwayne Carter. You guys know that I've done a video on him, and I was really high on him, even though nobody else was. And he was labeled a 5th round guy. You know, what I said, you know, in that video is that he had to be a sub 540. If he could just be a sub 540, he was going to rocket ship up these boards, and we'll see if it happens. But right now, I have him as the number 5 overall defensive tackle in this draft class. And it's kind of a tough draft class, but I mean, he fits. You know, he's got a couple more inches than, you know, some of the other guys like Mekhi Wingo and Byron Murphy. He's 6'2". So let's talk about Dwayne Carter, and then we'll come back to Jenkins. So Dwayne Carter, let me get his notes out. If I can find him. That's right. He was like one of the first guys to run. So he's got to be in the beginning here. Here we go. All right. So I wanted to see the high knee drill today be something special for him. I wanted to make sure he had some quick feet, and he did. All right, here we go. He did have some very quick feet today. He was able to get up and down quickly. He was also doing pretty well in transitions, you know, around the bags and working well with his hands. He did miss a little bit. He kind of tripped a little bit. And I mean, a lot of guys tripped today, so I don't know how much that's going to hurt, you know, their stock today. Maybe it was the field, maybe it was the cleats, but quite a few guys did trip today. Maybe it was, you know, the emotions, or maybe they were a little bit nervous. Who knows? But he did pretty well all the way around. He surprised me in some areas, you know, especially in his measurements. You know, he came in with 33-inch arms, 10 1/4-inch hands, big mitts. Came in, I thought, a little heavy today, 302 pounds. He did not look as fit as what I noticed him throughout the season. So I don't know if he ballooned up a little bit, you know, in the last month and a half, you know, since the season ended. Or however long it's been, 2 months. Well, no, shoot, it's almost March, 3 months. But he did not look as fit today. He didn't look as muscular today. But being a defensive tackle, his number one job is going to be to move bodies and to penetrate, you know, that offensive line. And what I saw today is that he has the power. He's got big legs. He should be able to do that just fine. And there is not one guy in this draft that I feel, at least in the defensive tackle part, that has a better background, that has, you know, the better mental side to this, that is somebody that is going to fit that character side better than Dwayne Carter. I feel that strongly about him. And again, these are all just my opinions. But 4.99 in the 40, so he did it. Sub 5, he did it. A 1.72 10-yard split is only, you know, 4/100 slower than the best guys to do it today. So that's pretty darn good. 32-inch vertical, again, stacks up with the rest of the guys. Ruke had a 32-inch vert. Fisk had a 33.5. And, you know, like I said, Dwayne Carter, 32-inch. Broad, 9'1". A little bit light in the broad, which, again, that's going to speak to his short area quickness. And, you know, is he able to move laterally quicker, horizontally, you know, getting to the pass, or I'm sorry, getting to the ball carrier or the quarterback? We'll see. You know, is he going to be able to maneuver around the end? He didn't have the greatest bend today, but he seemed to have enough bend. And it's not like it's going to be needed, you know, being a defensive tackle all the time. But he at least showed that he had some flexibility, which was good. He did run the 3-cone drill, and he did run the 20-yard shuttle, but I don't have anybody else to compare it against. So we're kind of stuck. And right now, I guess all of these times are unofficial, according to what NFL.com is saying right now. Some of the strengths on Dwayne Carter after today's event: plays with energy and active feet to probe for opportunities. He drives off the snap with force and leverage into initial contact. He does have very good pad level, by the way. When you go back and watch his tape, he does very good at making sure that he's aligned, and where he pops off the line and where he makes first contact and getting long right away. But they go on to say that he has good technique to stack and play off the block as a run defender. Eyes in the backfield always. He's always peeking, looking to find, where the ball's going. He disguises his desire to jump step and uses a club move on upfield charge. I haven't read that one before. Bull rush can be salty as interior rusher or as a base end. Doesn't often use it, but he has a workable spin counter when needed. And they did do a lot of work today in the spin move. And I thought that he did pretty good. He wasn't, totally out of control with it. So again, look, these guys surprised me today, but I can't say that I was surprised, right? I mean, I did the videos for a reason. I did a video on Dwayne Carter and Ruke for a reason. Even though that they were near, the bottom of the, draft prospects for their, relative positional group, I saw something different on the tape. And now I see something different because I've seen the combine. And when you blend it all together, I just put two guys that were supposed to be, day 3 or late day 2 guys. Still day 2 early, though. Round 2, round 3, for sure, both of them would get taken. But I wouldn't be surprised if Dwayne Carter gets taken in the second round. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised, if Ruke somehow slides up into the first round. If someone likes him that much, if the Lions like him that much, and see that, the investment should be there for somebody that's still a little bit raw. I mentioned, the term, Anza the other day, Ziggy Anza. And that was because these guys are kind of raw. Ruke and Carter, both a little bit raw, meaning not a ton of time, playing football. So there's still that learning curve in front of them. But Ziggy, he was getting better and better and better every year. He's fighting injuries. And then after he left the Lions, I think he had a couple of good seasons and then he was done. But Ziggy had that raw potential and that nastiness about him. And those types of things you can't teach. You got to have the raw athletic ability too, which he had. And I see that with Ruke and I see that with Carter. But they're more refined, I think, than Anza ever was. All right, let's get on to Jenkins. And then we'll move on to Nealand. Let's see here. Did I mention Jenkins Newton yet? Nope, not yet. I haven't gotten to that one yet. I haven't gotten to Trice either. Mike Miller, have you seen the video of Jenkins tracking down the running back? Yeah, I think that was the Penn State game. That was the first time that I noticed Jenkins. I saw that highlight and I texted. Matter of fact, I texted Brian, who was in here tonight in the beginning of this. And I said, who was that guy chasing down? He told me. And I've liked Jenkins ever since then. And he played very well this season. But here's the caution. And I know some of you, or a large majority of you, are Michigan fans. But here's the caution I will throw out there. And I would do this for any Alabama team that had the best defense too. When you have a defense that is loaded, 18 guys in the draft, or 17 is, you have to imagine that some of these guys are playing better than they normally would because you have so many guys that are that good on the team. So they get paid more attention to, when you have good guys, all around you that are getting, paid attention to more than you are going to have a better season because you're not getting paid attention to at all. So you have to remember that. Doesn't matter what team it is, just Michigan has a lot, in the draft this year. So just remember that when there's, a loaded roster, everybody's going to look better than what they really are. And I don't think Chris Jenkins falls into that category, though. I think he's going to be just fine. All right. Bench press numbers. Yeah, I wish that we had some. Dennis G says, as a pass rusher, Carter just 17 quarterback hurries, three quarterback hits, and 2 sacks on the season. So why draft him if mediocre physically? He also had a very downtrodden senior season, but he's a defensive tackle. So you'll see. You just got to go watch his tape and go look at his junior season. He's also not a defensive end. So defensive ends, you're looking for more, pass rushing ability. So he's not a pass rusher. He's a defensive tackle. All right. So let's move on to the next one, which was Chris Jenkins. All right, Chris Jenkins, 6'3", 299 pounds, 34-inch arms. So, again, you guys know I'm high on the arm length. Chris Jenkins checked a lot of boxes today. He ran the sub 5 of the 4.91, 1.7 10-yard split, 30-inch vertical, 9.7 broad. He did run the 20-yard shuttle at 4.78. So when you look at his numbers and then you look at his size and everything about him, I mean, he runs kind of funny to me. He ran almost like I don't know. He's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but his knees come really high. He almost runs with his butt down and his knees really high. He ran funny for me, but I guess I'm not too worried about that. As long as, he can run after the quarterback, that's all that matters, right? Or the ball carrier. But 6'3", 34-inch arms, almost 300 pounds, 9 3/8-inch hands. So he checks a lot of the boxes, in the size category. Had a great day today, ran well. He had some fluidity to him. I thought that he was getting, in and out of his breaks pretty well. But then, in some of the other testing components, whether it was the high knee, I said that he had solid, quick high knees, but he also lacked transition time. So he was good getting in and out of his breaks, but then he kind of stumbled at turning, and changing direction. So he got a knock, from me just because of that reason. But everything else was pretty darn good. Obviously, he wasn't the fastest one in the bunch, but I would look for Chris Jenkins to even move up this board a little bit. Right now, let me look and see where he's slated. And I'll go back and redo a lot of this once I'm able to really analyze a lot of the tape with, these new stats and kind of make up my mind. But right now he is ranked as mid-second rounder. So he's moved up already. Draft Buzz has him as a mid-second round. He was not a mid-second round the other day. Position rank number 7. Overall rank 46. So his showing today helped him out big time. So he's going to be right there in line for the Lions to be able to pick him potentially. Mid-second round is like pick 45. So he could be somewhere between 45 and 61. The Lions could get him at 61. I just don't see the Lions taking him at 60, at 29. So that's the biggest question. If the Lions are going to trade back to try to get more picks, and if they do that, great. We won't have a first rounder, but we're trying to get better, and you're adding more picks to do that. And the meat of the draft, I said the other day, was going to be between, 30 and 45, I think is what I said, or 30 and 50 or something like that. It's right there, like 45, 50, 55, like right in there is the meat for me. And then, for offensive linemen, again, it's going to be between 45 and like 70 or probably 70. But that all depends on what these offensive linemen do. I haven't seen all their stats yet. We won't until Sunday. So I think he did well today. I think the Chris Jenkins, did well all the way around. And, even throughout his time in Michigan, from what I've read, he has had steady growth. He got better every year. And, sky's the limit for those kind of guys. So we'll see what happens. There was one guy, though, and we're going to move on here to defensive ends in just a moment. So on the defensive tackle side, I think I've pretty much gone over the guys that I felt that, I was pretty high on. Is there anybody that I'm missing? Anybody I didn't mention yet? Who won the day or was the biggest surprise? Well, I think that Ruke was, quite honestly. I think that he was a big surprise today. I was kind of blown away by, dude's just a freak. He really is. I did not expect him to run the way that he ran today. And how he looked. I mean, lean, full build, just great overall. I mean, there's nothing he did wrong today. He really did. Biggest disappointment today? Wow. That's a tough one. That's a tough one because if you're going off of size, I'm disappointed in Fisk's arms because the guy's got so much. Like he has that potential. Like if he just had a couple more inches in his arms, I mean, you're talking a complete game wrecker. See, some of these guys, I was never high on to begin with, but I guess I could say that, I don't know if there's a real big disappointment here today because all the guys that I looked at, Fisk, Wingo, Murphy, Orhorhoro, Jenkins, Carter, and even Trevonde Sweat, I mean, they all did well today. The guys like McKinley Jackson, Miles Murphy, that Justin Boigme, Keith Randolph, Zion Logue, Leonard Taylor, Marcus Harris. I don't know. I guess you could say that my biggest disappointment could have been Logan Lee just because he didn't run well at all today. He didn't look strong. Defensive tackle out of Iowa. He just didn't look like he was having a great day at all. Probably the biggest disappointment, I guess you could say. Pretty slow. Just not a good day overall for that guy. But even Jaden Crometti, I would say, had a pretty good day today too. And I don't know much about him, but watching him run today and go through the drills, he did pretty well. But his production score was terrible in the combine. Yeah, and I just don't understand how they give out these scores, but he did pretty good today, given, his history. And like I said, I don't know much about him from Mississippi State. So let's move on to defensive ends. And then I'll do linebackers another night. It's already 9:00. So Dallas Turner, Chop Robinson. Since we're talking about biggest winners and losers or surprises today, there's going to be a couple in here. And quite honestly, Brandon Dorlus might be the guy that shocked me the most. I did not expect him to finish, near the bottom. I mean, darn near at the bottom. Marshawn Nealand, I already knew wasn't going to be the best in the bunch. But he also, he kind of changed my mind a little bit today. So I wasn't high on him at all. And today, I kind of changed my mind a little bit. Braylon Trice, middle of the pack, didn't wow me. He did not wow me that much. But guys like Jared Verse, this dude's an animal. Mohamed Kamara, I look, he's someone that could end up a Lion. Chop Robinson blew me away. Completely blew me away. And I know I've seen some people say, hey, trade up to get Dallas Turner. Like, you don't need to. You really don't. But you want to talk about a freak athlete? I mean, he hit all the testing scores today. But last season, just to throw this out there, last season, who was the linebacker? Who was the linebacker that completely knocked everything out the park? Was it Trenton Simpson? It wasn't Trent. Nolan, was it Nolan Smith? Hold on here. I've got to look now. Yeah, Nolan Smith. So, I wrote that article. I don't know if you guys had a chance, but I dropped my article in the community tab. So last year, I wrote an article prior to the draft, and it was like my pre-draft kind of thoughts. And I think you guys would be blown away at how many I got right and all the things that I was saying about Brian Branch being a perfect fit, Jack Campbell being a perfect fit, and all the other ones that I pegged to the Lions. So it's in one of the community tabs. Go check it out. That's why I'm doing this year. That's why I'm taking this, independent scouting up, to the next level and visiting the combine and taking in the experience and doing more work because, I like to think that maybe I have an eye for talent. And if I do, I want to develop it. And last year I saw Nolan Smith, blow everybody out of the water. And I thought he would have been a great fit for the Lions to pick up at 18. He was pegged to go top 10 potentially, but definitely by 18. And he slipped all the way to pick 30 in round 1. So what I'll say and what I'm trying to say here is speed and all of these other, testing scores, they mean jack squat if something's missing, from football intelligence wise or something else, character wise. And he ran a 4.3940 as a linebacker. He jumped 41.5 inches in a vertical and a 10'8" broad jump and slipped to pick 30. Jack Campbell was taken at pick 18. So when we look at these scores by, Dallas Turner, totally unexpected that the guy was going to run a 4.46, 40.5 inch vertical, 10'7" broad jump. Completely shocked everybody at 6'3", 247 pounds, 34 3/8 inch arms, 9 7/8 inch hands. Just a complete freak of nature. The guy has everything. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is don't be surprised if all of these amazing stats don't lead to him being a top 10, top 15, top 20 pick. He could just be there at 29. He could be, but that doesn't mean that he's the right fit either. So again, this guy had an amazing day. Obviously, he comes from a winning program. At Alabama, again, that's kind of what I just said about Michigan having so many guys in the draft this year. When you are surrounded by elite talent, I feel like it sometimes detracts from, who you really are as a player. It elevates you, maybe artificially, but it detracts from who you really are because you got so many good players around you too. But it's that artificial, elevation to, your play that I think it hurts you later. When you come to the combine and you play for a team like Alabama and you're surrounded by elite athletes and you come and you do this at the combine, and then it makes you think, okay, all right, he can do it. He just showed us, all of these amazing qualities to his athleticism today. What's the difference? Why are some of these guys slipping? And I think it boils down to character and football intelligence. That's why, a lot of this stuff doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But NFL.com said this today. They updated everything about him and they said, he's very long and athletic with explosive traits. he needed to become an impactful NFL pass, or he has the traits to become an impactful NFL pass rusher. First step quickness, elite closing burst, very important building blocks. But he still needs to work on his process from point A to point B. He hasn't learned to create the space and angles needed to consistently attack the edges, but that should come with better hand development and a more diversified approach. So it's speaking to things, that maybe are technique driven, and those types of things can be fixed over time. If it's instinctual and they're just not getting it, they're just not able to put it together, and they don't have the instincts to jump the route, sit on the route, slam the edge, stay off the edge, sit down in the zone, attack the zone. I mean, if they don't have the instincts, doesn't matter what your physical ability is. It's like what I said the other day, that, you could be extremely fast, but if you don't have the intelligence to know, as a corner, to know what to do on a play, you're just going to be extremely fast getting yourself out of position. That's it. As a corner, you can be a 4.2, 640 and not have a clue as to how to play the position. And you're just going to run yourself right out of position. Or you could run a 4.45, but have extremely good instincts and extremely, good awareness and football knowledge. And you're going to run yourself right into making a play. Big difference there with quality, football intelligence. So Dallas Turner, specimen, showed us today. Let's see what his football intelligence turns out to be, but he's going to be somebody that, is going to elevate his game based on, his physical attributes. He just has to put the rest of it together. Solomon was a big surprise today, Steve. Big surprise. He did not have, I don't think he had one bad remark today, quite honestly. Did I cover Chris Braswell? I'm very curious on him. I have some notes on just about everybody. So let's get on to Chop Robinson. Now, do you guys see why I did the video? Again, a guy that, has not been rated as high. Let's just see where he's lined up right now. Let's see where people have him slated. Chop, chop, chop. Again, he only had 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 15 tackles, 12 solo tackles this last season. Position rank is number 5. He is now slated to go. Wow. First round. And where was he the other day? We're going to have to go back and watch the video of Chop Robinson now, or I'm going to have to pull up my notes. Let me see if I have my notes handy. I'm only working with one screen today, so let's see. I'd be interesting to see, because I know in the video I said that he had potential to slide up the boards after, a good combine. And clearly, some people think that he's going to go in the first round now. And I can't imagine that he was 3rd round profile maybe the other day. Sound about right? Let me just take one quick gander. If I can't find it, then I'll leave it alone. We'll have to come back to it another day. But all right, here we go. Chop. So here's what I had on Chop. Powerful build, explosive point of contact, incredible bend, ankle flexion, lateral agility, quickness, and a sizzling first step that explodes into a long stride. I was worried that I didn't have any measurements on his hands and his arms. At that time, he was pegged to be 6'3", 255. He could bench 400 pounds and would be somewhere around a 4.47 40 is what was projected. He was 9th on Bruce Feldman's freaks list. He was compared to Micah Parsons. And beyond that, I did not put a round grade in here, but I guarantee it's in the video. I want to say that he was ranked somewhere around 61, 45 to 61. He was like a mid-second, late second to an early third is what I'm thinking is going to be in the video. So we'll see what happens. But now he's slated to go in the first round. So like I've said, you have a good combine, it can help you. You have a bad combine, obviously it can hurt you. And for some of these guys, it hurts them more than helps them. But Chop Robinson put on a display today that, he won. He's coming from an elite school, Penn State. They turn out some extremely good athletes. And, whether you like them or hate them, they do well. Right now, like I said, he's slated to be a mid first round. Let's see what they're saying about him. Edge defender who offers the type of elite athleticism we've seen from players like Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett. Now he's getting a Myles Garrett comparison. Wow. Robinson might not be as fast as Parsons, but he's close. Ultra twitchy with explosiveness to get on top of blockers. Possesses rare explosiveness and speed. Plays with natural leverage. Wicked pursuit speed. Able to battle big tackles. Slant quickness creates opportunity. Tears out of his stance like a track sprinter. Exceptional lower body flexion. So a lot of the same things that I was saying too. Let me get to his notes real quick. Man, what a fun day today. Adisa Isaac, I'll be interested to see what happens to him. So, yeah, I had a lot of the same things today, like, super quick out of the jump. His get off was incredible. Extreme bend around the edges. Working those bags, man, very violent. Seemed to have quick hands, powerful hands. Heavy first pop. So 34.5-inch vertical. Pretty darn good. So anyway, his production score is only a 68 today. And I really don't know where they're getting these scores from. But he is ranked as a 6.7, which is boom or bust potential. Or first year starter. Year one starter. So look, this is a guy that I had pegged to the Lions. I would not mind taking him at 29. I don't know who just said in there he had shorter arms and smaller hands. He does have a little bit smaller hands, 9 1/8, 32.5-inch arms, 6'3". That's about the only knock on the guy. So again, if you're going to put him into my categories, right, and then what I look, for most, the arms would be an issue for me, potentially. But he's shown what he can do on the field too. So being a more of a defensive end, that arm could be a problem. Hutchinson only has like 32.5-inch arms. So dare I say, if Hutchinson can do it, Chop can do it? I don't know. 2 different players. 4 inches separates them in height. Yeah, I don't know. I like Chop. I like what he brings to the table, but he's not, he may not be my number 1 overall pick by the time I'm done with this. Jared Versey, we know, is not even going to be anywhere near available. Incredible day for him today. He did finish roughly, 4th. And that's based on, I believe, the 40 time, 4.58. A 1.6 split, 35-inch vertical. The 10.7 broad is what got me today. 10-7 broad. You know who he looks like? He looks like that one linebacker that we had for a long time. What was his name? And he was just on the team like last year too, or the season before that in training camp. His name escapes me right now. But 33.5-inch arms, so he meets the arm, requirement in my book. Anything over 33 is a good start. Almost 10-inch hands. Again, another great quality to have. 6'4", definitely has the height. Good weight at 254. Just pounded the drills today. 10'7" broad jump. That's where he's going to get that explosion. When he ran today, he starts off running forward and he leans right into it. So he's going to be fun to watch. Dare I say, if the Lions wanted to make the jump to move up, this is the guy you move up to get. Just like Eric said, very smooth. The guy is so natural, in and out of his breaks. Hips were very fluid. Snap like a swivel. I call it the flip and run, or swivel hips, flip and run. He definitely has it. Whoever gets him, could be the Bears at 9. I think that's a little early, but again, if you like guys, you take them wherever you can get them. He's going to go somewhere in the top 15. Fisk did seem the most violent today. I would agree with, maybe I would agree with that. He was very violent. Murphy was just as violent, if not even more so at times. But both of them did very well today. All right, let's see who's next. Mohamed Kamara. Look, again, somebody that has natural, raw talent, someone that needs a little bit of help is probably Kamara. And for some reason, he was kind of pegged to the Lions today. And I think it was Rich Eisen that said it, that Kamara could become a Lion. And I don't know where he's getting that from, but I hope not, because he doesn't have even 9-inch hands. He's only 6'1", 32 3/8-inch arms. He's off my list. And that's all I'm going to say about Kamara. And you watch Brad Holmes take him, and I'll be furious. Chris Braswell. So Braswell, I think, surprised a lot of people today. The second Bama boy to run today, really had a good showing. 4.6 40, 1.59 split, 33.5-inch vertical, 9.7 broad. Pretty good broad, but not the greatest. Definitely has the arms at 33.25, 9 3/8 hands, 6'3", 251 pounds. Now, Braswell, again, very smooth operator today. He came with the power. So if you go back and watch his video today, matter of fact, I'm watching him run right now. But if you go back and watch some of the drills today and look at his bend and his flexion around the bags and look at his, the high knee drill that they do, he's able to pedal quickly and he's able to get in and out of his breaks really quickly. When they were doing the drill, changing directions, they move the ball, they move the hands, whatever they're doing. He stopped on a dime. I think he slipped once. If memory serves me right, he might have slipped one time. But look, a lot of guys slipped today. So I'm not going to knock him for that. He's just hustling, he's just trying to get there. The guy's a hustler. So I do like Chris Braswell. Definitely will be there at 29. Will he be there at 61? That's the question. Let's look at some of his strengths. He has a snappy burst. Allows him to race up the field and attack the edge. He has a well-planned rush approach, good grip and run, impressive acceleration when he flattens into the pocket, uses length to slip away from blocks. So there we go. That's the length that we're talking about, using that arm length to get away from blocks. A lot of people like power on power, right? When you watch football, you like to see when people collide and when two big bodies collide, it's just kind of fun to watch, right? Well, being a defensive end or, someone that's trying to rush, the passer, I would say that it would be better. Excuse me. It's been a long day. Been up since 4:30. I would say that it's better to try to slip than to make contact. You want to slip the tackle, or wherever you're rushing. You don't want to make contact. You want to get around them, where you're making as little contact as you can. And that's why I'm so keen on the arm length. Get that arm out, you get it on their outside shoulder, and you move them in and you move around. And you've just got to develop the other techniques with it too. You know, being able to transition into a second or third move. So Braswell, I do like. He's on the list, potential Lion, quite honestly. We'll go through a couple more here today, and then we'll do some more throughout the weekend too. Let's talk about Braylon Trice for a minute. I had high hopes for this guy. He did not run or do anything well today. He didn't post a vertical. He didn't post a broad. He didn't post a 3-cone, a 20, or a bench. He ran a 4.72 40 and a 1.68 or 1.65 split. I'm not sure if he's the one that pulled up with a lower leg issue today. I don't know if you guys saw that, if you had a chance to watch it. But I think he did. I think he's the one that had some issues, cramping up or something. And that may be why he didn't, do much for testing today. But 6'3.5", 245, 9-inch hands, 32.5-inch arms. He's just a little bit on the lighter side. He's almost a linebacker, and maybe he will be, in a 3-4 system. So for that reason, I don't think the Braylon Trice is going to be a fit for the Lions because we run a 4-3. I think he's going to be more of a 3-4 guy. A little bit undersized, but oversized as a linebacker. The one that everyone's been talking about, Marshawn Kneeland, didn't have the greatest of days, but he didn't have a bad day either. 4.75 in the 40, a 1.66 10-yard split's pretty good. 35.5-inch vertical, 9'11" broad. He actually ran the 3-cone in 7.02 and the 20-yard shuttle in 4.18. Decent times, not blazing times. But the thing that popped off the page today for Kneeland was his arm length. 34.5-inch arms. 6'3", 267 pounds. So he still has some weight to put on. Hometown, Grand Rapids, Michigan. So my neck of the woods. 9 and an 1/8-inch hands. So Kneeland is shaping up to be the right size. And can he improve upon, his scores with football knowledge and impressing, Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, being a good quality, character guy, being a hometown, Michigan guy, is this somebody that will be able to impress? I think that he has a good base, a good foundation to build upon. As long as he's coachable and likable and trainable, I think the rest will come natural for him. I really do. All right. Dan Perry says Trice cut too much weight and it hurt him for sure. All right, Mike the Marine, you take care too tonight, man. Appreciate you stopping in tonight. I'm about to jump off here in just a moment too. I still got to get dinner. All right, so Marshawn Kneeland, look, he's got the opportunity. He really does. He had a good day. His athleticism score is pretty good, 88. Total score today was a 74. He's ranked as a 6.13, which is putting him as a good backup right now with potential to develop into a starter. So he's kind of on the bottom of the poll. We'll see. We'll see how his pro days go. I think the Lions are looking for a starter at this point. I don't think that we're looking at somebody, unless you're going to grab them in a later round. I don't think that they're looking for somebody that, they need a lot of work on. And for that reason, I wouldn't pick him obviously at 29 or 61. I'd want to pick him later. I think that you'd get much more value. The last guy I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to skip over Austin Booker and Brandon Dorloos. Was not impressed with them. I wasn't before the draft. I'm not now. But Darius Robinson. So a lot of talk about Darius Robinson prior to the combine and how a lot of people were pegging him as, the next Detroit Lion. And then he had a terrible day at the combine. So in your opinion, right now, do you think that Darius Robinson has any sort of a chance to become a Detroit Lion? Does anybody think so? And the reason why I ask is because I'm going to compare him to somebody and see if that changes your mind one way or the other. So if I can get all of these things lined up in front of me. All right, so Darius Robinson, let's look at his day. He measured 6'5", 34.5-inch arms, 285 pounds, 10 5/8 inch hands. Now, the guy that I want to compare him to is Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett, 6'4". So Robinson is, I got to get this line back up again. There we go. So Myles Garrett, 6'4", Robinson, 6'5". Arm length on Myles Garrett, 35 1/4. Arm length on Darius Robinson, 34 1/2. Weight for Myles Garrett, 272. Weight for Darius Robinson, 285. Hands, Robinson, 10 5/8. Myles Garrett, 10 1/4. So if you were to compare those neck and neck, Robinson weighs more, is an inch taller, bigger hands by more than 1/2 of an inch. And height-wise, Myles Garrett's 3/4 of an inch taller. So overall, I'd give the edge to Robinson, right? He's got him by weight and height, and they're pretty close in arm length. Now, Myles Garrett scored a 99 on production, a 92 in athleticism, and a 95 overall total score. He also posted a 4.64 40. Robinson, 4.95. So a whole 0.3 of a second faster. That's pretty quick, but it's still sub 5, which is just fine. The 10-yard split is what I would be more concerned about. That's the quick, short area burst that we're looking for. And a defensive end, that's really what you need. Robinson posted a 1.73, whereas Myles Garrett posted a 1.63. Now, mind you, when we look at game film and how fast these guys are and how different they play in a game than they do, in the Pajama Olympics, I don't think 1/10 of a second is going to be the difference of getting a sack or not. I really don't. I think it's all position. Are you in the right alignment to make the play? The vertical jump, 35 inches for Robinson, 41 for Garrett. A whole 6 inches more. That's a ton. The broad jump, though, 10'8" for Garrett, 9'3" for Robinson. So it makes me question the lower leg strength if you really want to compare him to an elite defensive end. But dare I say that Myles Garrett is the most elite defensive end in the league, and that's who I'm comparing Robinson to. So, and Robinson's coming very close with athleticism. Bench press, Robinson didn't do, but Garrett put up 33. Overall, when I look at Robinson, I see Myles Garrett 2.0. That's what I see. Same kind of build, big, wide frame, tall, good weight, decent speed, but the rest of the attributes came in. I mean, you want to talk about somebody that was breaking in and out of his breaks today. Heavy hands. I'm watching it right now. Big time power, super tight, going around the bags. Did slip on the final bag. I don't know why these guys are slipping so bad today, but Darius Robinson is going to be a game wrecker. I guarantee it. I do not care that he's at the bottom of the defensive ends today. Watching right now whether the circle drill or whatever they call it. My top 3 today to round out the day. If the Lions had an opportunity to take any one of these guys, whether you're taking Jared Verse, Chop Robinson, second, third, it would be Jared Verse, Darius Robinson, Ruke Orhorhoro, and probably I'd probably put Chop 4th or 5th, actually. That would be my list from today. Those are the top guys, I think, out of this draft right now. Byron Murphy, I think that he fits somewhere in that top 5, top 6. The height was the only issue, but the guy's going to be a game wrecker too. I can see it. He's got the raw power, and sometimes power is going to win over speed, and power could win over height. It's just, the arm length that concerns me on some of these guys. So, look, I think that there's some options for the Lions. I think that it's going to be interesting to see what happens and what we learn. What is a BIC man? What does that mean? BIC, BIC man. What does that mean? Uber Light says, oops, I meant yes. I was confusing him with another player. He was one that grew up a Lions fan. Yeah, Darius Robinson. Yeah. Great story, but no for me. Which one are we talking about here? The 2 Texas guys? Nealand? You didn't like Fisk? I do like Fisk. I do. I absolutely do. And I said that earlier, but I just don't see where the Lions are going to have an opportunity to even get him. And based on his, what was his arm length? If I remember correctly, his arm length was a little bit too short for me at 31 inches, in the arms. And that's where, I'm drawing the line, 32 and a half is that's like the bottom for me on the defensive line, 32 and a half. And I know you're saying it's just an inch and a half, but dare I go, tell you to go ask somebody else about what an inch and a half means to them. You might get, a response back you don't like. So trying to be funny there, but size does matter in this game. I think it matters more, depending on your speed and all your other intangibles and traits and everything else. I think that the size matters most in the beginning. If you have the frame, you can work with technique. If you don't have the speed, you can't teach that. So you've got to have the speed and the frame, and then they can work with the rest, when it comes to technique. So Robinson is a big body D end. Don't really think he's an edge rusher. Pretty much a 3 tech, 5 tech, defensive tackle, defensive end. Yeah, he's definitely a pass rusher. I think that, he'll be a D end. I don't think that he's going to be a 3 tech next to Aleem. He'll be on the outside 5, outside the tackle. Could probably play inside the tackle too. I'll have to go watch some of his tape some more to see where he played the best at. I think he played all over the line, quite honestly. And I think he said that today too, in some of his interviews. But
Jameson makes the catch. Touchdown Detroit Lions. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Do me a favor. Smash the like button while you guys are here. If you like this content, you want to hear more of it, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that notification bell so you know when we go live. We've got a good set of shows coming up here next week. I've got a gentleman coming on from Washington, and we're going to be talking about a few different topics, but he is a scout. He does some writing. He's a journalist for Washington Commanders football. So darn well we're going to talk about Ben Johnson and that whole fiasco and get his take. We've kind of let things cool down. So now let's talk about it. The draft or the combine will be over. Get his take on some of the the players, and see what he thinks about maybe some of my assessments too. But we'll see. So that should be Wednesday night at 8:00. I'll definitely have something posted and put everything out there by Tuesday, but if not before. But do me a favor, subscribe to the channel or consider subscribing to the channel. And of course, let a friend know. Let them know that we exist and that we're here for a reason. We definitely enjoy our Lions content. Quite a bit of Lions fans out there today. It was nice to see. And they had all of the rings on display, all the Super Bowl rings. And I got a picture of every single one of them. I got a picture next to the Lombardi today, and that trophy is coming home to Detroit in the very near future. And after what I saw today at the Combine, there's going to be some players that can help us. It's just, are we going to be in position to grab them? So, yeah, Matthew Betts. We still haven't even talked much about him yet. There's a lot that there's a lot to talk about. And you put up some stats right there, Steve. So are those accurate? The 9 3/8 hands and the 32 3/4 inch arms. So, I mean, going by what I just said, 32 and a half is the bottom for me. And he's 32 3/4. So he fits. And 9 3/8 hands. I mean, that's not a small hand. Good weight, decent height, 6'2", and he can bend the edge. I mean, we've seen his tape. He can bend the edge. So I'm excited for it. Tomorrow, I forget who we're watching tomorrow, but whoever it is, I'll do something on it on Saturday because I'll be driving back, I think, tomorrow. I got some plans on Saturday. So, all right. Appreciate you guys joining me tonight. Great experience. And then, by the way, I did get some good news today, and I'll share that with you. So, as you guys know, I'm trying to take this up a level and work on my scouting. And today I was accepted. I applied to a scouting program. Let me find the email. If I can find it. Where is it? One second here. Well, anyway, now I don't even know who I applied to. I can't remember the acronym. But I applied to a scouting program to go through some training, and I was approved. I was accepted. So I thought that was kind of cool. I'm going to be able to get trained, in a dedicated sports management program that will teach me about scouting. It'll teach me about sports management, being a sports agent. I think it's like a 12-week program, and there's NFL scouts and there's NFL, former NFL. How do I put it? Former NFL associates, I guess, that lead all of these classes and teach all of these classes. So I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be fun, and I'm going to learn a ton. And that's why I started doing this year with going to the Combine and starting to look more at tape than I have before. I mean, I've always watched hundreds and hundreds of hours of tape, but now it seems like it's even more. The goal is to be able to get the really good tape. So I even reached out to the NCAA. You guys already know I reached out to the NFL, and I mean, they want plus 6 figures to get access to tape, but I want to get the NC2AA film where it's all cut up already, and you can literally go in and watch, this receiver and all of their targets. You don't have to skim through hours of tape anymore. Where I'm watching hundreds of hours of tape, I might be able to whittle that down to a few hours of tape. So to get into that program will help me get into that program with the NCAA to be able to get the tape and to take it up a notch. So extremely, extremely excited about it. And we'll see where it goes. The biggest thing is having the time to do it. So anyway, appreciate you guys joining me tonight. We'll be watching the Combine tomorrow, and then I'll be heading home tomorrow. So I'll do something on Saturday. It's doubtful that I'll have any energy to go on tomorrow night, but look for some updates in the community post or on any of the social medias to what we see. So, all right, y'all. Appreciate you guys. Take care. Have a good night, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.